And we are live. Hey, y'all. Okay, so let's start off with something fun like I like to do. First off, I was on the internet and I saw, some of the kids talking about songs that they've heard when they was little that they probably shouldn't have been listening to. And I said, I probably should start doing that because I know there was some songs I couldn't listen to. And one of the ones that I posted on TikTok, where y'all should be following me at, is uh is it cruel or do we care? Can they tell what's in our minds? Maybe they have secret love all of the time. And then when I posted that, somebody said, "Don't forget, saving all my love for you." A few stolen moments is all that we share. And I said, my parents let me listen to a bunch of side chick anthems when I was like 7 or 8. But then going to take my Naughty by Nature tape because they was talking about OPP. Wasn't Whitney and Alanis start singing about OPP in the first place? But they called it OPP, so now I can't sing it. Because I promise you, I was in my room like, OPP, how can I explain it? I take it frame by frame it. And my dad busted in my room was like, no, ma'am. You cannot listen to that. Hand me that tape. And I was sick about it, y'all, because I felt like, you know, why can't I listen to that song? But of course we couldn't, so I was upset. But I do feel like we was listening to some real and going in. I mean, when I tell y'all, I was in there like, a few stolen moments is all that you share, because I felt like in my heart I was saving all my love for who? I don't know who. But Alanis Star was like, we noticed the time. We both got nervous because it's way after 9 o'clock was my bedtime. How was I singing a song about people being nervous because they were still laid up in the bed with somebody they wasn't supposed to be at a time when they should be at home, when I know I was in the bed at 9? Somebody called my parents and tell them what was y'all doing? Because I don't know. But it's the fun of it nowadays. And I always like to bring these up because a lot of times, when we hear the kids' music nowadays, we like, oh, they saying too much, they doing too much. But you can always go back and find the equivalent in our age bracket. And sometimes we don't want to admit that, but I'm here to tell y'all, we were singing side chick anthems when we were 7 or 8. If you in my age group, and if you not in my age group, I'm sure that when you look, you'll find yours too. Okay, that's middle aged people. When we in these 40s, we be forgetting, we drop down and getting our Eagles on, but we don't want to admit that because we got corporate jobs now. I don't have a corporate job, but y'all do. And y'all be at y'all's corporate meetings acting like y'all wouldn't drop down and get your eagle on. Hey, drop down and get your okay, but don't worry about it. I won't tell nobody if you don't tell nobody. Okay? We all just listening to Jill Scott and Kim over here. And I mean, Jill Scott, she be saying and doing some stuff on her concerts and songs too. So Mm. But we'll pretend like all y'all do is listen to jazz, and y'all don't even listen to lyrics no more. Like y'all don't listen to nothing that got lyrics, so that y'all don't get caught up in nothing. But that's okay. Moving on, I got a couple of things to talk about. That's why we're here. Okay. And I want to touch on, 2 or 3 things today, and we'll see where it goes. Y'all know me. I take some notes, but I don't know. So let's get here. First off, I want to touch real quick on the fact that I know it's been passed a little bit, but I want to touch on the fact that there was the 50 series TikTok. And if you haven't seen it or heard it, where you been? Anyway, it's called YTF, or Who TF Did I Marry? Who the Blank Did I Marry? It is a 50-part series over on TikTok by this beautiful woman named Risa Tisa. I don't know her age, but I do want to say that she's got to at least be um, mid 30s. Okay. I want to say she's mid 30s only because she kept referring to herself as a woman of a certain age in the story. Okay. This story went viral and it shook up the internet, especially on TikTok. It especially shook up TikTok, but it's going further than that because some big companies have sponsored her to do some things already, and it only been like 2 weeks. The series came out on Valentine's Day. It started on Valentine's Day. She kept dropping them. There, each episode is like 10 minutes long. There's 50 of them. I know it sounds like a lot, but number one, if you watch a movie for an hour and a half, you can watch this. Also, if you are a person who scrolls TikTok and or Reels, you've been scrolling and listening all day for a couple hours, you're watching the same thing. So I know a lot of people be like, I ain't got time to listen to that, but you do. If you're a person who be on the internet, you do have time. I'm not going to tell nobody they have to watch it. So I'm going to give you a quick synopsis if you have not seen it. It is about a woman from Atlanta who dated a man. She found a man to date on the dating sites. They matched on two different dating sites, which is why she was like, okay, maybe this, would be a real match for me. When she's telling this story, she is telling this story not just from a victim's point of view. She is telling this story from a person who knows their wrongs and takes accountability for the signs that they did not see that were red flags. Okay, because sometimes hindsight is 2020. You don't know till you look back and be like, oh child, I should have paid attention to that. I should have gave more weight to that. And that's what made this story so good, was because a lot of people listened and was like, these type of things I've fallen for. I've fell victim to some of these. Now, so basically what it is that she telling the story about this man that she matched on two sites. It was COVID happened right after they met, like literally a couple of weeks after they met. So before that, they were going on dates. They were having a good time. She was going to his house. He came to her house. They hung out a little bit, all of that. And then COVID hit. Once COVID hit, we all did some irrational things. People went places they shouldn't have went. People did things they shouldn't have done. People were getting sick. People were, not making it through. And in the spirit of wanting to have connection with somebody, what are you doing? Y'all, Ruby cutting up. In the spirit of wanting to have connection with somebody, she irrationally let this man move in with her soon after knowing him. Okay? That's just truth. She let the man move in with her soon after knowing her, and they were living together. Now, he told her that he worked for a major condiment company in Atlanta. She never named the name. You could kind of guess though, if you're familiar with Atlanta, but she never gave the name. She said that's where he told her he worked. She said that he had just moved from another state. He had divorced his last wife, and he was the stepfather to two children. That was the background she got. Also that he had like four. He was one of five siblings. That's what he told her. So she's living there, and it's COVID, so you can't go a lot of places. You can't do a lot of things. So it's very easy to love bomb somebody in that. If y'all haven't heard of love bomb, and look it up. Many of us have been love bombed. I know for a fact that I was love bombed and deceived, but we ain't gonna get into it here right now. So he was love bombing her, and he was selling her a fantasy life like no other. I mean, my man's was telling her that, they relocated him back to Atlanta from California, which is where he came from. She said that, he was supposed to be looking for a house. He showed her the amount that he was approved for, which was like $700,000 for a house. Like he was big time over there at his job, and so he was approved for like $700,000. And in Atlanta, that gets you a whole lot of house. I promise you. Because I know some people who have houses that's a good 200,000, 300,000, and 400,000. And so when I tell you they got a lot of house for that amount of money, five bedroom houses with a bathroom for almost everyone, and a, backyard to boot, and privacy and all of the good stuff, right? 2 and 3 car garages for less than $500,000. So a $700,000 house gets you a whole lot of house. They went out looking for houses. First they was looking online, and then some houses, because they were empty, you could go look inside. He also told her that since he was working where he was working and he had the kind of job that he got, that she needed to upgrade her car, and he was upgrading his car. And they went car shopping for extravagant cars, just beautiful cars. She decided what kind of car she wanted, the color that she wanted, interior that she wanted, and she was shopping. They was shopping for cars, okay? And all this stuff was happening. But when it came time to actually get a house, that's when she started really noticing lies. But she noticed lies along the way. Other things was real crazy. One of the things she did was, once she started like putting some things together, she started to make voice memos, like a diary, like a voice. Y'all, that's my ice maker, and y'all gonna have to deal with it because I need some ice. Sorry if you can hear that noise. So he started to she started to make these voice memos, like a voice diary of all of keeping track of all of the things that she felt like were suspicious, And so there were lots of little things like, saying let's go over to my sister's house for a cookout, and then they on their way to the cookout, and he's saying got a phone call, and then when he gets a phone call, he's telling her, oh, my sister has to cancel the cookout because she's a nurse and they called her in to go to the hospital. And so, she's just like, okay, she's never met the sister before, still ain't met the sister. Little things like that, to be like, it seems a little suspicious that while we on a drive, she's canceling the whole thing. Like, people can't come over and get a plate. Ain't there food over there already? Like, but whatever. Okay, so we keep moving. This woman got pregnant by this man. They then get married because she's like, oh, I'm a Christian, I can't be having no baby out of wedlock. So they get married, and then that pregnancy does not come to term. Y'all know what I mean. Doesn't come to term. There's some suspicions around that situation, but and she felt the things, y'all, but she still kept on pushing. She was like, I love him, and we married now. I married now, so she kept on pushing with it. Well, then they get a house. They find a house they like. They decide they're going to put a bid in on it, and he tells the real estate agent he wants to do a cash purchase. When you do the cash purchase, apparently you got to show proof of funds. Okay, that's a thing. Some of us did not know that, some of us did know that, but you got to show proof of funds, meaning you got to prove that you can buy a house for cash. So you have to show proof that you have that type of money in the bank. He started being fishy about showing the money, the proof of the money. He don't want to, and she's like, well, you show me proof that you have it, why can't you show the real estate agent? And he just going back and forth. I know I can't, I'm not going to, I don't feel like it, the people are. Finally, the real estate agent says to the woman, she talks to the woman by herself and the wife, and she says, listen, honey, you might want to do some investigating, and if you want to buy a house later with him or by yourself, I'll be happy to work with you. That woke her up to really start investigating some things. Just so after that, there's a whole bunch more. Like I said, I'm not going through all 50 parts with y'all. Y'all got to watch it for yourselves. You got to get it for yourself, my brother. Remember that BET commercial? Anyway, so it is called Who TF Did I Marry? And the person whose actual page it is Risa Tisa. You can go ahead on over there. There ain't nothing. I ain't getting nothing from it to get you to watch it or listen to it or whatever. But if you into good stories, it's a good story. Whether you believe it or not, it's a good story. If you're into storytelling, it's a good story to listen to. If you've had some bad relationships and you want to try to relate to somebody and you want to be like, okay, so I'm not the only crazy one out here believing some of the stuff that somebody told me, it's worth listening to. Okay. I want to talk about one part that I didn't see a lot of people addressing on this story. I got a lot of people talking about, they felt like she didn't look like a person who would be dating an executive for a company. They felt like this woman did not release this man's name. It got released on the internet, but she did not do it. So nobody knew what he looked like when she was telling the story, but they were saying she don't look like she's an exec. And I just want to tell y'all that this woman look like a Holly Berry? No. But why, when people hear like higher ups, do we assume that everybody that is a higher up, a higher exec looks like Morris Chestnut, looks like Lance from The Best Man, when most of them don't look like that? These people are the people that y'all clowned in high school that wasn't cute. Those are the people that was climbing to the top. Those are those people, okay? A lot of times they are beautiful people. Yes, they are. But there's also a group of people who make it far not because they are beautiful, but because they work hard and they are intelligent people. And so there were a lot of people attacking her looks and saying that's why she's dumb and gullible, because she's not pretty, so she ain't had a lot of men. Like, it was really mean. It was really, really mean. And if your intent is to go over and be like, let me see what she look like, then stay your ass up off her story. Leave her alone. Don't bother about it. But the one thing that I didn't see people talking about was the art of breaking up. There are a lot of people who just don't know how to break up, especially as black women. As black women, we're always been taught to, like, worry about everybody else and make sure everybody else feel good, that being the bad guy just ain't supposed to be in us. Like, we're supposed to be nice and calm. And then especially if you are black and you grew up in the Christian world, you supposed to be submissive and docile and, homely looking and all of this stuff. And once you do any of those other things, people just automatically assume that you deserve whatever comes to you after that. So my thing just is, I've never heard any of my friends say that breaking up was explained to them, how to break up with somebody. When is it okay to break up with somebody? Because I believe that there are a lot of us who think that we should not break up with somebody until there is what I call devastation or embarrassment. Meaning, once you can have a lot, the person that you with could do a lot of things to you, right? They could cheat on you. Sometimes they could put their hands on you. They could, sleep with your mama. They could be sleeping with 2 3 girls at their job. They could never work and just have you take care of them for the rest of their life. They can have all of those things. But you won't do, number one, you won't really tell anybody that it's happening. And number two, you might like tell one girlfriend or something like that. Number two, you don't make a move because you just like, but he say he's sorry, and he treat me nice. He's still taking me out. He's still paying the bills. So even though I'm heartbroken over here, I'm not going to do nothing until somebody knows it. Until the woman who's sleeping with him put it on the internet, until she, posted on Facebook talking about, oh yeah, Keisha, you thought that was your man, but he was at my house. Once you get embarrassed, then a person will move. But I'm trying to say, if you know early that this person ain't the person for you, you should feel okay to be like, I need to end this now. I don't need to wait for devastation and embarrassment. I don't want all of that. I know too many women who do the push through life. Like, they're always pushing through. Like, it's okay. I push through. I push through. Especially if you ain't even got a ring. You ain't got no papers. They ain't got no papers on you. Ain't got no papers on them. And you still sitting around letting them treat you bad because you don't know how to break up. It's okay when you start feeling those feelings like, this ain't right. I don't like how they talk to me. I don't like how they talk to their mama, whatever. We always feel like if we leave on them, we're looking like, we too picky, or we're ungrateful, or we got too high standards. So I'd rather somebody tell me I got too high standards than me have to be on the phone crying to my girlfriend all the time. And that is a telltale sign. If you on the phone always venting to your girlfriends or to your mama or your sister or your favorite auntie or mentor, or you got to have extra therapy sessions now because of how they treating you, that's when it is okay to break up. That is okay. Like, I'm not going to suggest that you break up because he always want to take you to Applebee's and you like to go, you want to try another restaurant. I'm not suggesting you do, but if you feel, do it then too. I mean, hell, shoot, do it then too. Why not? But I do think that there is a time when it's okay. It is okay. It's okay for you to go ahead on and be like, you know what, this ain't working. And I want to say, and I know some of y'all will not like me about this, but probably if you don't move people in too soon, you have more space to think. Because when we move people in soon, then they have more space to cloud our judgment. And I'm saying that as a person who moved in, I U-hauled. Y'all know what U-hauling is? If you don't, look it up. I U-hauled with a person, and I promise you, 5 minutes after I got there, they hated that I lived there. They hated that I lived there, and it was abuse after abuse after that, and I had to get free. Now, did I get free scot clear? No, but I moved in too early, and they would say the same, that they moved me in too early. But I do believe that when you move in too early, because when y'all in a relationship in the beginning, everything that y'all do from there on, like, it's like we right here, we Velcro, we stuck. I want to see you all the time. I want to talk to you all the time because it's addictive. And once it becomes addictive, what we gonna do? We get love. That's when the love bombing comes, because they ain't have no life before then. Come on, Ruby, y'all. If you online and you can see Ruby, here's Miss Rubes. Pearl necklace and all. She just think I'm eating something and I'm not. Sit down, baby girl. Okay. So if you feel like you want to vent because a lot of what they doing don't feel right, it's okay to break up. You don't have to wait until they cheat on you. When they start talking crazy to you, and I mean, when I say crazy, I don't mean like they calling you names like ugly, like they get mad. But if they do the one or two things, you like, hold up, and they like, I'm just playing with you. You can break up. We can break up. We can end this because I don't like that kind of play, and I don't want to give you the chance to do it again. Sometimes we could get there. Other times it's like, okay, I told you that's a boundary of mine. You now know that that's not fun or good for me. So now that we both know, I'm going to give you another chance. But if you do it again, I'm out the door. Okay. Shout out to In Vogue. But you have to know that you don't have. My mom was one of those people who was like, pack it up and move. Okay. Now, my mom, I got that from my mom, and my mom stayed with my dad a lot longer than she should have, but she was doing that because she was thinking she was doing a folded kids. But me and my brother was like from jump, sis, when is it? When we leaving? Because this ain't it. This is not it. Um, I do think that when you prepare to break up, you should be getting a support system. If your support system or your people are people who are telling you like, no, like he ain't even like, girl, everybody man do that. That's not your support system. That's another victim. And y'all can't help each other if y'all both in the same boat drowning. Okay, but you should find some people, even if you have to reach out to your, what we like to call now like our internet friends, and just being like, y'all, I got to break up and I'm struggling today, let me talk to you, because somebody will join in with you and be like, girl, I was there last month and it hurt for a month, and I've been a month out and I feel like there's people who want to support you. But you ain't got to sit there and keep on taking something because it's not embarrassing you yet. We don't always got to be embarrassed. I know there are people that I used to talk to. We just don't talk no more. Wasn't nothing devastating. I have a friend. This goes for relationships of any type. Like, I have a friend that I barely talked to her. We was childhood friends. I barely talked to her today. Did we ever have a big drawn out fight? No. We just went our separate ways. There are people, hello. There are people who I have communed with, and we never had no big draw fights, and when I see them today it's still like, hey, how you doing? But we couldn't be together because we just didn't mesh. It was things that they wanted that I did not want. I talked to one person one time, y'all, and that person wouldn't stop wouldn't stop wearing one color. Everything they wore was the same one color, and I was like, I know that sounds petty, but because they were limiting the color of what they wore and also the style of clothing that they wore, it limited for me. It limited a life for us because it was like, how we go into plays and I want to go and do cultural things. I want to travel. And if all you ever want to wear is sweatpants, there's some places that's not going to let us in. And it didn't work for me. Now, I didn't say he was a bad person. I didn't say I was a better person. It just didn't match. And sometimes y'all don't understand that the person don't got to be bad to break up with them. They just don't fit the puzzle you trying to create. And so many times we keep on trying to push them and push them and push them and push them. And that's why sometimes y'all's relationships become so volatile, because you have one direction that you want to go in. The person you are with has another direction that they want to go in. Y'all never discuss the directions. And so y'all pulling tug of war style each other, and it's not working. You could put that rope down and go play another game somewhere else. But people just won't, have not been taught that that's okay. It's because, when you was kids, you was in school and somebody did you wrong, all you had to do, all that happened was that the teacher had to tell that person, oh, just say sorry, and then you were expected to say that's okay, instead of learning to be like, I hear you, noted. Because it wasn't okay. When you walked away, you didn't feel okay. You still felt wronged, but now they are absolved of any guilt. No. And that's where it is again in relationships. You feel like because somebody says sorry, even though they not changing that behavior, they said sorry, so they must be sorry. I was with a person that I felt like they have to understand the feelings that I feel when they do the things they do, because they've told me that they've been with somebody who did similar things. So when I say when you see me crying, when I get upset and all this, I'm in my head thinking, I never said it to them. I never said, you don't remember when you felt like that because of so and so. And I thought I was being nice by not throwing their pain in their face. But when they was putting pain in mine, I should have been like, let's either connect or we got to disconnect. And I didn't do that for too long because I wanted to look like I was chosen. But you ain't chosen if they choosing everybody else, and you ain't agreeing to be in a polyamorous relationship. You're not chosen. And it's okay to say, I'm done. What's that song? It's okay to say that's over. I don't even know how that song goes, but one of y'all know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so, it's so many tears I cry. It's an old song, y'all. Y'all got look it up. I don't know. Somebody commented to me because I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's okay to break up with somebody before the time, before you get all embarrassed, because then everybody all in your business and they know all this stuff. If you break up before all of that, when a person be like, hey, where's Chuck? You could be like, it just ain't work out. He wanted things that I didn't want. I wanted things he didn't want. But when which is better than having a conversation, be like, girl, I saw it on Facebook. Like, you don't want that. We don't want that. I don't want that for you. Okay. You don't want to be on it like, oh yeah, I saw it on Facebook. I know, like, we don't need all of that. So instead of doing all of that, start looking up how to break up with people. I'm sure there's somebody on YouTube that's telling people how to break up with people. If you've ever left a job, maybe you got the right to a 2-week notice. I don't know. If they living with you, Let me tell you this, and this is coming from somebody who did this many times. Okay, I had to do it with my mama. Don't talk about it. Just shut up. But but I say, if you are living with somebody and you want to break up with them, if you are the person who is going to have to relocate, don't break up before you got somewhere to go. Especially if you have kids. Don't break up before you got somewhere to go. But make a plan to get on out of there. One time I broke up with somebody, y'all. I broke up with them. I never told them that I like we had some arguments, but they thought I would be there. And I waited until I had my new place secure and, keys in hand. And then I just packed up and I left. They came home, my stuff was gone. Because what I didn't need was an argument about me moving. I didn't need anybody being mean to me up until then because they, was in their feelings because now I'm ending a thing. I didn't need the other person that they was dealing with to know my business before I even was able to lay my head down in my new place. So I didn't tell. And sometimes that's the safest thing for you. I know, and I got that from my mama. My mama would pull the truck up. My mama left two people. My mom was married twice. She left both her husbands, and she left both her husbands on the truck outside. My friends is outside. They about to grab some of the stuff. Excuse me, while we pack it up. I learned that from my mama. I one time had to do it to my mama. Maybe my mama. No, My mom left my dad first, so I learned it from my mom. My mom divorced my dad. She was married to my dad first. My mom divorced my dad. My dad didn't know nothing about it till the day the truck pulled up. She told me she was divorced. She was leaving. She's like, pack your stuff and shut your mouth. And then she just, y'all, when she pulled up, my mom pulled up, she had all her friends and their husbands there. And then also the police, because we need to keep this cute right quick. My dad was on drugs, you didn't know, but he was erratic. So you never knew what he would do. So she pulled up. My mom did all of that. My dad called my grandma and his sister down because they live right up the street, y'all. And they came down to the house, and I wasn't there, so I don't know how it went, but I'm sure that they were just monitoring to make sure that my mom didn't take things that did not belong to her. And then she moved out. When my mom moved out on her second husband, she did the same thing. She was like, my mom's not an arguer. She don't yell well. She don't do all of that. My mom packs it up and gets out. So my mom, when she needed to divorce her second husband because he was cheating on her, my mom got the proof. They had a conversation. My mom let it be look like it was okay. Then my mom secured a new place to live. She got a truck. She pulled up to that house with a couple of her friends and they husbands again. And my mom grabbed her stuff, moved out, and the house was in her name. My mom was like, I'll lose all of this stuff for a piece of mind. I'll lose it all for a piece of mind. And my mom lived a rough life. We can talk about it on another day. But my mom was ready to go. And I learned that the stuff is not important when your peace of mind is at jeopardy. And so I packed it up. Give it up, turn it loose. Oh, if you don't want them, you don't need them. Girl, in Vogue, okay? Give it up, turn it loose. The stuff ain't important. Get what you could get and get up out of there. Do what you need to do and get up out of it. Don't tell the people where you're going. Don't be like, and I'm moving up, Chicago. They don't need to know where you going. Just go. Okay, they've been treating you bad. If you want them to call back in a couple of weeks because now you done settled and been able to breathe, everyone falls in love sometimes. When you're ready to exhale, then you can go ahead on and call them and be like, listen, it just didn't work. You knew it wasn't working, and I knew it wasn't working. We didn't need to do all of this stuff. I'm not coming back. That's what I did. I packed all my stuff quietly. I didn't bother anybody. I waited till I knew they was going to be quote unquote busy on a weekend. I planned for that busy weekend to be the weekend I go. During the week, I had taken over some small stuff that wouldn't have been noticed. I put it in my car. I drove it over to my new place. And then when it was time for it to happen, I packed it up and moved it out. And then once I was in my new place, and I was gone for a good three, I was gone for a good 3 days because they was out here living their best life. Living their best life. Okay, they was out here. They didn't even notice I was gone for 2 days. They called me on the third day because it was a weekend, like I said. They called me on the third day late, talking about they thought y'all don't judge me. They called me talking about they thought we was robbed, and then they realized all their stuff was still there, and so they was like, maybe they wasn't robbed. And I was just like, listen, you knew it wasn't working. I knew it wasn't working. You didn't want me there. The person that you were cheating on me with didn't want me there. If nobody wants me there, why are we mad that I'm not there? They were mad that I didn't give them the heads up. But what you needed for, you let me know from all of your actions that you didn't want me there. How I leave out, that's my decision. I didn't leave them out high and dry. I didn't leave them out, with nothing. I left them out without me. And that's all that mattered. That's all we cared about. Okay. And so, sometimes it got to be that drastic. Sometimes it has to be that drastic. But for your safety, for your peace of mind, remember, it's okay to leave without the devastation and the embarrassment. Now, after I left, there was a lot of devastation and embarrassment coming from these two, but we'll talk about that on another day. But during that time, it wasn't like it was a bunch of people who knew what was happening. So I I was still able to walk with my head held high because they wasn't about to tell nobody I moved out like I did. I didn't need to tell anybody I moved out like I did. I'm like, there might be people who know me right now who's listening. And it's like, wow, I didn't even know you did all of that. But I had to, and I would not mention their name because who knows who I'm talking about. Right. But I was able to hold my head and my dignity because the devastation and embarrassment had not come yet. So sometimes that's how you got to do it. But whatever way work for you, when it's the small stuff, that's when it's time to go. Especially if you hear a person say, something like, well, if I'm that bad, why you still here? Oh, don't worry about it. Don't you worry about it. I won't be. Don't say it. Just plant it in your head. Don't you worry about it. I won't be. I won't be. Because that's a person saying, I plan on being like this. If you don't like this, why are you still with me? That is a true statement. Even if it sound mean, even if you feel like they're calling you dumb or whatever, okay, take it. It's time for me to go. Because if you're saying that this is this me and I'm not changing it, and you know that you don't like that, it's okay. That's when it's time to go. We got to learn that breaking up is hard to do, but sometimes it is a necessity. 100%.